Alright, you guys, so the first step that I did, I tried to do a time lapse yesterday and it went way too fast. So I wanted to show you what I did here to start to build my structure for my tiny house. And it's seeming to be a little closer up than I had originally anticipated in my sketch. But that's okay because that means that I can put more details into the main structure, which is really the most important part. So the first thing that I did was I created a plumb line for the front corner of my structure. And where I decided to stop and start with that had a lot to do with my photo reference. So basically, you have to make sure that that is straight up and down. And the only way to really do that is to either use a T-square or a triangle, so that it's not crooked. Because if it's crooked, then everything you draw from there is going to not be correct. So I drew my plumb line and I stopped and started where I chose to, okay, based on my reference. Could I have gone taller? Yes, then that would have just sort of made it seem like I was closer to that building. Then I took the corners of that plumb line, just like you did with your exercises, back to your vanishing points, both on the left and the right hand side of your composition. Now I'm using a really big triangle for this. You obviously can use a ruler, any straight edge that you want. It's just really, really important that you go to the actual cross of your vanishing point, which is that cross line of the horizon line and your vanishing point. And it's also important that you keep the same two vanishing points the whole time. One of mine is on screen, the other one is off screen because I added paper in my last video. So I've created the sides of my building, and then again, somewhat arbitrarily, I decided where to stop the side of my building here and how far back I wanted it to go here. Now remember that if you're closer to a vanishing point like I am on this side, then there's going to be more distortion and the angle is going to be more harsh. If you place your building closer to the horizon line, there'll be less distortion, but you'll also have less detail because it'll be further away from you. So I created this. All right, so everything on this side of the plumb line is going to that vanishing point, and everything on this side of the plumb line is going to that vanishing point. And then you're probably wondering, how did I get all of that? If you want to find a peak or the center of this side, so like if I'm going to put a door in here or a window, I want to put that maybe in the center of that whole side of the structure, or that plane. So if you remember the idea of the plane, right? This whole plane right here is basically one surface, and then this is another alternate plane. So to find the center of that, you're going to connect your corners, corner to corner, all right? And then you're going to go straight up through the axis of that X to find the peak of the roof. So you can actually see here, this is a little bit of an overhang of the roof, but the peak of the front of the building, which is this right here, this triangular shape, is out of our sight, and it's only because I drew the roof a little longer, so I extended the line of the roof past this point to create a little bit of an overhang, so you can see that there's some dimensionality to it here. And that all I did was really just go from my vanishing point past that center, right? So there's the center of the peak. So underneath here, if you could see through this, if this was a glass roof, that's where that point would be. And you can almost see like there's a slight hairline where I erased here. Curves are a tricky thing, so I'll actually make a separate video to show you how to do curves. So that's just getting the basic front of the facade, the side, and then the roof. These angles right here are completely arbitrary in terms of how steep they are. I could have made this a steeper roof by being higher up with this point, right? I could have made it a lower roof by being lower with that point. So basically this right here, which is called a pediment, right, this triangular shape, would have been shorter. But I wanted a pretty pitched roof. This is maybe about a 45-degree angle. And then to decide where that roof stops, you're still going to use your vanishing point. So think of this edge as the same as the plane of the front of this building. So you're going to go from where it stops on this side to the vanishing point, which determines where it stops on this side, right? The angle is arbitrary, but where it stops is not, right? That, so that it actually looks like it lines up, you're going to use your vanishing points for that. But anything like this roof pitch is going to be up to you. And again, it depends on how steep you want your roof or how flat you want your roof. Okay? So